first drunk driving offense in Wisconsin is a traffic ticket. The second is a misdemeanor. But the seventh, that's supposed to get you at least 3 years in prison. So why are some of the most persistent drunk drivers in the state getting out of prison in just 6 months? Fox 6 investigator Ryan Polson shows you how a conflict in the law has a pair of Milwaukee County judges taking a stand.
What in the is he doing?
He's doing the bear crawl.
It's not a crime to be stumbling drunk.
And you come running down and face planted here and face planted there.
Unless you're stumbling back to your apartment after crashing your girlfriend's car.
Call the police department!
When Waukesha police roused Paul Ruppel from an alcohol-induced stupor in April of 2018,
Yep, have a seat right on that bumper there.
his BAC was more than 16 times the legal limit for a chronic drunk driver. He was arrested for operating while intoxicated.
Still breathing, still with me back there.
I'm breathing.
For the 7th time.
You're kind of slowing the words there a little bit. Dude, I'm tired.
That same year, Francis Wolf got his 7th offense. Cole Knapp was taking a nap.
I just got arrested for f***ing older guy sleeping in my f***ing truck.
When he got his 9th.
Have you had anything to drink today?
Yeah, a little bit.
And Thomas Barthman tops them all.
You got pretty blue eyes.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
With a lifetime drunk driving record in double digits.
It concerns me greatly.
David Borowski is a Milwaukee County judge with a reputation for being tough on criminals.
I'm well aware the defendant's innocent until proven guilty. Okay, I've heard enough.
And he's not happy with what's been happening to the state's most persistent drunk drivers after they are sentenced to prison.
I would say it's not the way the system should work, in my opinion.
Since 2010, state law has required judges to impose a 3-year minimum sentence for a 7th, 8th, or 9th drunk driving offense and 4 years for a 10th offense. But a Fox 6 investigation finds many of these offenders are still getting out of prison early, some very early.
They're not being deterred from their behavior whatsoever.
A detailed analysis by the Fox 6 investigators finds of the nearly 200 drivers in Wisconsin charged with a 7th OWI or more in 2018, at least 43 have already been released, most of them middle-aged white men who served less than 40% of their sentence.
I want to make sure that people who are in custody or in prison because of an operating while intoxicated are not being put in the programs ahead of or instead of other inmates, other defendants who might be needful of or deserving of the same treatment.
Thomas Barthman served just 8 months for a 10th offense.
It's really uncomfortable.
While Paul Ruppel, Cole Knapp, and Francis Wolf were all back on the street in 6.
If you're leaving people out after 6 months or 8 months or 10 months after they've offended 7 times, I'm not so sure that they're going to get the message.
When State Representative Jim Ott first pushed for the 3-year minimum sentence, he says it was supposed to be a wake-up call.
My intent was deterrence.
He never considered the impact of the state's earned release program.
It's a direct conflict in the laws.
One law says judges shall impose a 3-year minimum sentence, but another says judges shall release inmates as soon as they've completed a substance abuse program.
We've always been led to believe, in fact, told by the DOC, that they're not going to get into that program until maybe they've served 2 years.
The Wisconsin Department of Corrections says the number of inmates eligible for earned release is down, so some inmates are enrolling in treatment shortly after intake. And with prison admissions suspended due to COVID-19, the wait will only get shorter, meaning some inmates could be in and out of prison in just a few months.
I'm not convinced that a 10 or 12-week program is enough treatment to realistically reduce that defendant or that person's risk to the community.
Judge Borowski and Milwaukee County Judge Christopher D. are now blocking the DOC's requests to release habitual drunk drivers early. They've denied 4 such requests since last fall, 3 of which are now on appeal.
Can you get my glasses?
They say it's not that they're opposed to treatment.
Do they need treatment? Absolutely. But from the standpoint of a circuit court judge, one of my jobs is to protect the community as well.
Certainly treatment is an important part of that. Education's an important part of that. But we also have to have laws that fit the severity of the crime.
In other words, they're not convinced a few months of counseling is enough to reverse a lifetime of dangerous decisions. Brian Polson, Fox 6 Investigators.
The Wisconsin Court of Appeals will decide if the mandatory minimum law Barr's early release of 7-time drunk drivers. If not, Representative Ott says he plans to take this up once again in the next legislative session.